Welcome to teleSUR English. We go live to Caracas once again. In this case, we are looking at statements from Diosdado Cabello, president of the PSUV. He is going to declare, actually this is the beginning of the hearing at the Supreme Court of Justice. Let's recall that we are looking at live images in Caracas. This is the beginning of one of the hearings, the several hearings that have been taking place since Wednesday this week, and that is the Supreme Court of Justice of Venezuela. That is what we're seeing now live, has summoned all of the different representatives of political parties and also former presidential candidates and their legal representatives to come before the court to provide all necessary information on the process of July 28th elections. So in this context, what we are seeing is the beginning of the hearing in which representatives of the PSUV, Socialist Party of Venezuela, is about to begin. The delegation in this case is headed by Diosdado Cabello. Within the greater coalition of the Great Patriotic Pole that has appeared and through which President Nicolás Maduro was re-elected in the last elections of July 28th. So what we're looking at is the moments prior to the beginning of the hearing. We see as authorities from the Supreme Court are greeting the different participants as they have done so with all of the hearings that we've been closely following. Let's recall again that this is a process within the Supreme Court of Venezuela that initiated after the petition, the filing of a contentious appeal by President Nicolás Maduro in order for the top court of the country to be able to investigate, to carry out a thorough investigation into the entire electoral process regarding the elections that took place on July 28th. That is, after that moment, the Supreme Court summoned all representatives and also all former political and former presidential candidates and legal representatives of each political space to come before the court. The court, through this initial process, is gathering all the necessary information to carry out this investigation. One of the aspects that was highlighted was the possibility of doing this in a sovereign way, that is, respecting and through Venezuelan institutions. And that is one of the greater aims. That is one of the greater aims of this process that looks into the electoral process. So we are looking at the court right now, just minutes away from the hearing starting. The hearing will be presided by the electoral chamber authorities, that is Carlicia Rodriguez, who is also president of the Supreme Court itself. So people continue to come in. This is the third day of the several rounds of elections in which different representatives from across the political spectrum, from across all different political parties, have presented themselves before the court to have these hearings and also present all the evidence that's in their power. That is what we are looking at right now. One of the former presidential candidates who did not appear before the court and did not comply and respond to the summoning by the highest judicial authorities was far-right Representative Edmundo González. This took place on Wednesday and marked the beginning stages of this process by avoiding to come forth and present himself before the court as was indicated and as all other candidates and also all other representatives from political spaces did so. Let's recall that one of the aims of this process is to gather all the information and evidence and to confront it in a institutional, legal and clear procedure, taking into account, for example, that this happens within a context of what the government has denounced as a media smear campaign, as a propaganda bombardment from foreign powers and foreign media, as a lot of circulation of what has been presented as false evidence regarding the elections. So in the middle of this context in which the importance of presenting information, of it being verified by an institutional power is becoming more and more important, it is that this process that is being led by the Supreme Court comes into place. So in that context, the absence of Edmundo González was a significant one and one to keep in mind also. This was one of the things that was also highlighted by the Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, yesterday when she met with the diplomatic body and went over a series of accounts and actions that dated back to the weeks before the elections, with the far-right sector not being willing to sign an agreement to acknowledge the results even before the elections took place, up to this refusal to come before the Supreme Court. What we're looking at are authorities now who are welcoming the different representatives who have come before the court. We're looking at General Attorney of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab. He is talking and also greeting the different representatives, as he has done so with all representatives and candidates, former candidates who have presented themselves before the court. So we are now just minutes away from the authorities that were going to lead this hearing, that is Caricia Rodriguez, to come into the courtroom, give the official initiation to the hearing, as has been the case for the past days and all the hearings that have taken place. Let's recall that July 28th elections were done so with 10 candidates that presented themselves to that election day. Some of those were representatives of a coalition of different parties. So it's quite a number of political figures that took part in the electoral process, and that they have all been summoned by the highest court of the country in its objective of gathering all necessary information regarding the electoral process. Again, let's recall, after a contentious appeal filed by the president and re-elected president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, who presented an appeal before the court with the objective of bringing all of these matters regarding the electoral process to justice and to the Supreme Court, which is the Venezuelan institution capable of investigating and determining anything that needs to be clarified regarding the election. One of the highlights of this day is that re-elected President Nicolás Maduro is also being summoned, as were all the other former presidential candidates before him. So what we're looking at now is the beginning of the hearing of the legal representatives of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela. And afterwards, the presidential candidate and now re-elected president himself, Nicolás Maduro, will also be present at these hearings, as were all of the others, except the case, as we were saying before, of far-right Representative Edmundo González. So we see that people are now standing up. That is because the authorities of the chamber, the electoral chamber, are coming into place, led by Carlicia Rodriguez, as we were saying before. And she is now about to formally initiate the session. Let's listen.
Good morning. I declare this hearing open. Citizen Clerk, you may proceed to announce the purpose of the current hearing. The purpose of the current hearing of this electoral chamber is in accordance with the stipulated in Article 85 of the Organic Law of the Supreme Court of Justice, 12 and 14 of the Code of Civilian Procedure, and applicable to the court, and in order to deliver the pieces of evidence requested by this electoral chamber through the and as well as responding the questions. And this case is in August 9, 2024, and we are giving record of the presence of Diosdado Cabello, representative of the Socialist Party of Venezuela, and assisted by lawyer, also Julian Jose Benavides Rondon, representative of Tupamaru organization, and Vanessa Montero, representative of the political organization Movimiento Somos Venezuela, Osvaldo Zamora, representative of the political organization Organización Renovadora of Venezuela, and Hidalgo, representative of Podemos political organization, Randel, representative of Partido Verde Party, Gilberto Jiménez Prieto, representative of Movimiento Electoral del Pueblo Party, Alo Contreras, political representative of Futuro Venezuela Party, and Henry Hernandez, representative of Venezuelan Popular Unity Party, and the representative of Alliance for Change, among other political representatives, and it is present the Attorney General of the Republic.
So we're looking at images. We're live in Caracas looking at images with the Supreme Court of Venezuela as the hearings continue in the process that is underway regarding the electoral process of July 28th. That was the hearing of representatives of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela. We'll have more information in upcoming news briefs. Stay tuned with teleSUR English.